All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, guys. Welcome to the Versus Live. We talk all things poetry, especially things related to professional poetry development to guide you in this process. Hello, my name is Jeff.
My name is Matthias.
We're so straightforward now. Look at
It's so
us.
formal,
Look at
man.
us. We're so
Yeah, man.
good.
I just shook your hand through the camera.
It was probably sweaty.
It was.
It's
I'm very nervous to meet you.
Yeah, it's all right. So today, for those of you who are poets, you may be thinking about publishing, and you may be thinking about traditional or non-traditional ways of doing it, or I don't even want to call it non-traditional now because it's coming very, very frequent. So we're going to be talking about self-publishing with a poet who's done it. This is a poet that we met back when we had our first open mic. This
The
is
Diversus open mic.
a sad
It's not
story.
sad.
Let's start sad, but there's a happy ending.
Let's start this podcast.
There's a
in
happy
Greece.
ending. I
In
promise.
English. No, okay. So listen, it's an open mic. It was. I mean, if you're like here with us right now, you probably know, right? There was an open mic that Diversus started out with, and we would be just doing open mic things, doing poems with poets, and then talking about the poems, talking about really cool things to do with poetry. Jeff, the superlative host, Jeff. Yeah. Jeff was the host. And we're gonna get. We're not gonna talk, but we're gonna get back to it at some point. Just keep on the lookout for that. But one of the people that she would come to the open mic, and she would always like really do like really great work. I really feel like kind of watching some of the people that would come to the open mic, kind of watching how they're participating in poetry now is really cool because you can kind of see the motivation that they had coming into the open mic, and that motivation that they still are carrying even outside in the world is really cool.
The motivation was money. The motivation.
That's what Lil Wayne says. Money is a motive. So and if I don't get any information from anybody else, it is absolutely Dwayne Carter. So
facts. Yeah. But yeah, we're gonna bring her in just a moment. But for those of you wondering about the open mic and you're located in Columbus, just a heads up: second Friday in January. Block out some time. Just a heads up. You might want to have an evening.
Is it your anniversary?
It's like,
okay, great. Spend it with us. Is it your kid's birthday? Okay, they're gonna have a lot more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sucks to be them.
Just block it out.
Be them that year.
Exactly. Yeah. Are you supposed to get married on that day? Get married with us.
Yeah.
Jeff's a minister.
You can reschedule those things.
You can.
It's to last your lifetime, guys. What's another day?
It's a little superficial to be like, I gotta have it on this day.
So we have Melody. Oh no! We bring her in. She cuts. Oh no! Give her a second. She's gonna be right here. I promise.
Okay, here's some more banter on delaying your wedding.
There it is. Now she's here. Yay! She's here.
Shout out to Melody.
Melody. All the things. Cool.
Hey,
Melody, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
I'm gonna make you big.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you minutes. Can you just introduce yourself? Give us like the 10-second spiel.
Hey, you guys. My name is Melody Phoenix. Thank you guys so much for coming to this live. I will be talking about self-publishing and a little bit about my book called Vision.
All right. So let's actually just jump right into the book. So the book's called Vision. Why is the book called Vision?
Vision. It's a 2-part tunnel vision. So that's something that my dad always told me, to have tunnel vision when you're doing your work and just have a laser focus. And my laser focus is poetry, and that's something that I'm very passionate about. So that's the title of the book.
Got you. Now, you're going by Melody Phoenix now.
Yes, I am. So
was it always this way? Or were there
not to ask leading questions,
monikers that you might have adopted in the past that maybe you were persuaded away from over time?
Melody Phoenix, explain
I've been one, so my name used to be Plain Jane the Poet, but I changed it to Melody Phoenix. The name Plain Jane the Poet originated from me and my sister. We were playing with each other and like making fun of each other. And then I was like, you know what, I'm going to use that name and I'm going to make it something. So what happened was I took the name and I just started going to open mics and doing poetry slams and vendor events. And Eventually, people was like, "Yeah, I'm rocking with the name," and then some people were like, "No." I was like, "All right."
Some
Some
people.
people. The thing, what happened was the reason why I changed it. I'm a Christian woman, and I talk to God like a lot. And one day I went to sleep, and in a dream, God let me know like, "Hey, I need you to change your poet name." I'm like, "What?" And he was just like, "I can't do anything with that name." I'm like, "Jesus." So the next day, I'm like, "Okay, what do I do? What name do I pick?" And Melody, when I was younger, I used to always listen to music in my room and pace around and think about a character that would be on stage. And the person's name was Melody. And then the Phoenix, like I recently was, I had a friend that we were talking about like the feeling of writing and having the feeling of writing and how you feel when you're under this type of stress, and the Phoenix is like emerging out of that stress. So I put the two parts together. So Melody Phoenix.
So the name change came about because of.
Which was in actuality just like Jeff, like in your ventilation system.
No.
Change your name. Change your
It was
name.
one
And you like woke up,
time.
you're like, God. Do it. This
Oh,
I
man.
say unto you. Change your name this day.
I love the name now. So yeah.
As you should. As you.
I feel like
should.
when it comes to changing your name, did anything change about you as a writer or a creative in that transition?
Yes, low key. When I went to the Cincinnati Poetry Slam, it just makes me go a little bit harder as a writer, and
Mm,
I noticed a change in how I do things. So I remember I didn't have any copies of my book, and I had to
mm.
go to the Cincinnati
Ooh.
Poetry Slam and kind of improvise. So that's when I went to Michael's and I got a whole bunch of canvases and start painting, and God's really like changing me. He's making me into something even more. So yeah.
That's really dope. Oh, shout out to where's the shout out to Cincinnati Poetry Slam ran by Duop. If you are a Cincinnati, if you're just like an Ohio, if you're like a poet and you are looking for some artistic things to do and you're looking to be a poet somewhere, Cincinnati is like a really really dope place to be a poet. And Duop is one of the people there, one of the OGs and one of the organizers and the poets, right? That really gets it done over there. And Cincinnati is like a really beautiful city, by the way. Just like
Yeah.
people, I don't know. I rock with Columbus really heavy, but Cincinnati is like high key a really really beautiful city. But yeah, so like as far as like going to, because I know you said like the transition. Are you frozen? Is it frozen?
She is.
Oh no.
So we're gonna talk about
Can
that.
you hear us?
They'll be back. They will be back.
But
in a
okay,
moment.
so just kind of going back in on just like this the Cincinnati poetry scene, and I think that one of the really cool things about that space is that because it's like the stage area, but it's like the seats are like higher than the stage, right?
Oh,
And
interesting.
so I think it kind of get as a performer, it make because you can see like everybody's face, right? Because like as a, like when you're looking down, it's a little bit harder to kind of like scope everything.
Yeah, it was more like an amphitheater kind of.
Yeah, yeah. So you can see everybody's face. So I feel like whenever I'm performing in spaces like that, it makes me a little bit more aware. But yeah, so Melody Phoenix for yourself, as far as like being a performer and kind of being in that space. I know you said there were some transitions that you're kind of experiencing there. Were those how did that affect your performance? Like you said, you go a little bit harder. Like kind of what does that mean?
So I usually would read off of my phone a lot, and I try to, remove that and study my material over and over. And the last Cincinnati Poetry Slam, or the one before that, I went on stage without my phone, and for me,
Mm.
that's a win because that's something that I wanted to move away from. And there's nothing wrong with using your phone,
No, there is.
like.
There is.
For beginners, but but when it comes to the slams, I feel like you have to really be in the moment and use your hands and your whole body to be performing on stage. So
I feel that.
I don't know. I'm not gonna, because I feel like there's some tension around you. I'm not gonna make any comments. But,
Go ahead.
no, okay. So I'll say this. I'm gonna say this, and that's it. So I've been to like a couple like national slams, and there's poets that I would say are like just really, really, really great writers that they're reading off of their phone because it was like this. It's super accessible, and they could like kind of write on the moment, write at the moment, and things like that. But just to say that I'm not saying that it's the best thing to do, but I've seen people win slams. I've seen people feel the emotion behind somebody's words, even when they're reading off the phone. I'm not saying it's the best way to go, and probably, you probably want to, if you really want to perform this poem, figure out a way to maybe memorize it or transition it to paper so that you can kind of do one of these numbers, right? But yeah, reading from your phone is not the worst thing to me. Jeff's not a fan. Jeff's not a fan of technology, so he's just.
Yeah, for me personally, it's a challenge because I would always just, I can just read from my phone. Like, I'm like, no, I want to actually memorize this whole piece, this 3-minute long poem. So.
Yeah. So, and I know, so you were talking about how you're, like, part of the transition, and kind of the first thing that you mentioned was like you're a Christian woman, right? And I feel like that's when artists are kind of moving in their calling and kind of moving in their purpose, you kind of see some transitions and things like that. I know we talked a little bit about your performance, but and we're going to talk about your book here, a little bit more about your book here in a second for sure. But have you seen any transitions in your work in specific?
My poetry has geared more towards God. It has, like, I've strayed away from like erotic poetry, like, and I've been more in touch with my emotions. Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, somebody was I did this like church event a couple years ago, and it was like it was an open mic, and they had me featuring. But one of the people that were on the open mic, they did this like it wasn't an erotic poem per se. Like it was like as close to an erotic poem as you can have with somebody still being like, and I'm saving myself for marriage, right? like 4 or 5 times throughout the poem, they're just like, and I can't wait to have that with my what, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like okay, we get it, but it was just so funny because it was just like the format that he used or that he kind of called upon was like Song of Solomon, just being like that's like kind of an erotic poem like in the Bible, which is hilarious to think about. So yeah, I mean, do you what I know, naturally your faith being kind of part of the structure that kind of gives you inspiration. Is there anything in specific faith wise or in your faith walk that kind of gives you inspiration when you write?
I know that God is calling me into a certain stage, and like I know my purpose in this life, so I just have to actually do it. And it's like he's been nagging me to do it for a while, and I've been kind of tiptoeing around it, but it's really ingrained in my work. So.
Let's talk about the work. Are you ready? So people who see the thumbnail to this YouTube video are going to see the cover to a book that looks very different than the actual cover of your book right now. Okay. So you self-published. Let's just kind of talk about that really quick. Oh, Sabrina's in the house. What's up, Sabrina?
What's up, Sabrina?
Can you tell us a little bit? So if I have a book out already and I'm like, you know what? I want to change the cover for my book.
Yes.
What is the process for doing that?
So for me, I hired someone on Fiverr to do my cover because I was in the beginning stages of drawing and I didn't want to draw it yet. So I decided to hire somebody.
Okay. Can you, if you're comfortable, and if you're not comfortable, that's cool. How much did you pay like a Fiverr designer?
$35.
$35.
The first like $55, but the second time it was $35.
Hmm.
Was there any significance to the initial book cover and kind of book designer? Can you maybe talk about that?
Different designer,
Mhm.
different look. Like I really love roses, and I decided to do roses for this one. The other one was a scroll,
Okay.
but I think the roses and the dark cover is a lot better. So,
Hmm. And just to give, because I know I've seen it just on like social media, there are people out there looking at covers, not sure how to do covers,
yeah,
think about hiring people to do their covers, considering options again like Fiverr, things like that. What are some things that you think are helpful to consider if you're using a platform like that, trying to find a freelancer to do your cover? What are some things that you were looking for? What are some, I guess, a better general question?
yeah.
What are some expectations you think are good to have if you're going through that process?
Good reviews. Honestly, read all of the reviews on Fiverr. Make sure that they're actually reputable. Like some people had 1 star and still trying to do business. No, actually see if they have 4 stars. They have a lot of clientele, and you should go with the person that has the most stars.
Had you used Fiverr before for other things prior to your book cover, or was your book cover the first thing
No,
that you used Fiverr for?
I've never used. Yeah, so Fiverr was the first time I used it on my book cover. Like, and I only found out about Fiverr through this woman who actually self-published herself, and that's how I learned how to self-publish. So she taught me.
What do they say?
Learn
Each
yourself.
one teach one.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
so
that's a
I
Yeah.
interesting.
a little
Okay.
story. I worked at this daycare, and it was a time where I was almost done with my manuscript, but I didn't know how to self-publish, and worked at this job. And I started talking to these ladies, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm a writer. I wrote a book already. I can show you." I was like, "What?" So she showed me the rundown on how to, upload my manuscript, and she's like, "You have to use Amazon KDP." Okay, so I was trusting her with my work, which is a very nerve wracking thing to do because I'm like, what if she just takes my work, But she did. I trust the process, and yeah, I got it published. So,
We'll talk about KDP because that's a really important thing. I do have one other question about Fiverr. So
yeah.
imagine I'm looking for a cover. How many designs did you get? What was the entire process like with the designer?
The first time that I self published, it was pretty easy. Like the person got the idea, but the second time was a little bit of a process. We had to redo it over and over again. And I was like, no, I don't like this. Raise the words a little bit, make the roses lower. You can go back and forth with the person and let them know, like, hey, you need this fix, you need this fix. So it took about a week. So,
Was that all part of the price? Did it cost more for certain
yeah,
revisions, or did they say?
like
Hmm.
extra, like $5 more extra
Mhm.
for revisions, but I didn't really care. I really wanted it to look perfect. So
Did you write it off?
did I? Did I what?
Did you write it off?
I did not write it off. I don't know how to do
It's
that.
the business expense.
Hey, if you could show me, I would most definitely do that.
We need to get an
Like
accountant. We need to
that's what
find a creative accountant.
We should.
about like being an artist. It's a lot of things in the business that you have to learn. And like for me,
Yes,
I do want to just do the writing process, but like I have to learn
everyone wants. Yeah.
learn how to do like woo, so that is
Like
something
it's
that
Yeah, because I feel like those two things kind of exist on like kind of two opposite sides of your like brain function. Because you're like
yes,
you're an artist, and you just like I just want to write the book, right? And that's the reason why there's so many artists that they don't have they don't have things out there in the world, right? Because
Yeah.
there's like the only thing I'm focused on is like kind of like creating,
It's the art.
creating,
The
right?
art.
But they don't really have like a kind of a pathway to being able to get things, which is so cool because again, like you have you have 2 books out like out there in this world. I mean, like 2 different like versions, right? Which is like more than a lot of people, right? A lot of artists have, and so I think that that thought process to where you're like, I don't want to just stop at having, because I remember, when we were at the open mic, when we were at the Verses, like you had the book, you had the cards too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you were like, you was
And I
write
made
those off
those
either. No.
myself. I made those on Canva. That's a really good
Yeah.
place to make business cards. Go to Canva. You can do it for free.
Yeah, so it was just to say that, I mean, like, that's like another thing that a lot of poets kind of don't, a lot of them aren't putting together, because there's a lot of people that maybe have like really, really great work, but as soon as they walk away from you, you're like, oh man, that guy was really good. What was his name again? And then you just so it's what
Yeah.
so I mean, yeah, you having something physical that you can put into their hand and say like, hey, this is who I am. And you even had, like, I remember you had like a pitch and everything, like you were really
Yeah.
well put together. So yeah, that's really, really good, really, really good trends to pick up. I feel like I'm not even that great at that. So I mean, you got some really good practices already.
Actually,
I do like your approach when you do your poetry. I think when you do comical poetry, it's really cool. So
When I do comical poem, oh yeah.
all his poems are very
like
serious.
compare
So
to poetry, that was cool. So
Well, I appreciate it.
yeah.
I
no,
do
you're
it.
great. No, you're great. So wait, can you still
Oh, go ahead.
Can you still use those business cards because you changed your name?
No, I cannot.
This is the importance of branding.
I remade another business card, and they're actually coming to the house pretty soon. So
Exciting.
how I market it is I go to open mics, poetry slams, and I just start passing them out. And, hey, check out my website. Check out this, And it's more so on the groundwork. I'm still trying to figure out, algorithms and Instagram and all that stuff. Like it's slowly growing. I'm almost at 2,000, but it's still.
Get it?
Yeah. I don't know why. That should have been the golf clap. I should have done the golf, but that's
everything is
like 2,000. That's good. Do you feel like because I feel like we're still there in like in a lot of different ways as well. But just the idea of like kind of going out to these open mics and performing and kind of showcasing your talent. I think a lot of artists are kind of missing that component of their creative experience. Like a lot of artists are like, oh, like I want to write the poems, and then they're like, I just really want to put a book out. I want to get published on this website. I want to do this. And I'm like, hey, have you ever like spoken in front of people and said your poems in front of people? And they're like, oh, I could never do that. I don't know what that. So like, can you tell us a little bit about like kind of that part of your creative journey? Because I mean that kind of all folds into the presentation, to you being able to provide things and like give people your book, or like be able to sell your book and your business cards. Because if you got up there and you were like terrible, they'd be like, you can keep the card to yourself. But like, so it's just to say that, people really, really love your work and people really enjoy like watching you perform. And so can you tell us a little bit about, that experience?
Can you reword the question a little bit? Like, yeah.
That
it turned into
that felt like a lot for me to follow. Can you tell us just a little bit about like your experience as far as like kind of going to open mics and performing, and kind of what that part of your creative process is like?
Okay, yeah. So going to open mics and performing is a very anxious and exhilarating and fun experience. Like the nerves will never go away. Just letting you know, if it's your first time ever performing, it's going to be there. You just kind of have to get over it and go on stage. I really like talking to people, networking. That's really fun. Meeting someone new and genuinely talking to them and getting to know them. That's always fun. And then when you get their business card, you get your business card, you get to connect with them later on. Like they can be a vendor at your event. They can be a new friend. So I really like going to open mics and poetry events.
I want to talk about some of the kind of nitty-gritty logistical aspects of getting a book. So to have a book, let's start off just with like formatting. So how many poems are in your collection, and how'd you decide at that number?
So the first time that I did was 69, but now it's 72. And it got I added another page because I wanted them to be able to follow me on social media. And then KDP kept pushing back the book, saying, "Hey, this needs to be reformatted." So I had to go over it again.
Tell me more about that. So, what was the original formatting like, and then what was KDP looking for?
KDP, they would actually highlight different things that were wrong in the book. To like, okay, you need to put the title more over here. It was like you had to make sure that the numbers were a little bit higher because you don't want your paper to be cut off during printing, which is pretty important. So that's what the mistakes were happening for me when I was publishing.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of people out there, and possibly present company included, what does KDP stand for?
Kindle Direct Publishing.
There we go.
So this is like publishing through Amazon.
Yes.
It's their big, especially like electronic.
Yeah.
So why choose that format? How do you get started with that?
So you create an account, you press sign in, do a username, password, and you hit create, and then they ask you if you want to do an ebook or if you want to do a hardcover or paperback, and you choose your preference. Go in and if you actually did an ebook the first time, you can go in and do a hardcover again. So you have those options, and then after that, you upload your manuscript, and then you upload your book cover, and then they ask you a lot of tax information. The first time I did it under my DBA, but the second time I just did it under my regular name. It's just up to you. It's your preference. And then after that, you submit it, and it takes like 48 hours for them to get back to you. And then when they do get back to you, they're like, "Congratulations, you have now published your book." So yeah.
Did you have like your book prepared like in Microsoft Word? Was it a PDF? Was it in what was the format?
In Microsoft Word.
Does Word already have like a pre-made template that like you can use if you're like, hey, I'm thinking about doing KDP, can I just download this template and use that? Or how do you know how to format it?
I actually didn't know that. I don't know if but Microsoft Word has a format.
I don't know either.
Yeah, but I kind of just did a blank paper and redid the whole thing on there. And then KDP let me know what I needed to fix. So, yeah.
Is that a difficult process, like reformat?
Yes, it's difficult. You have to go back in and re-edit and then go back in, but you know, it's all right. I love the process. I'll do it again if I'm going to do it later. I might do it again later on, like for my third book. Like for my second book, I want to actually go to a publisher, but for my third one, I might self-publish
again. I do want to make sure we get Sabrina's question. So Sabrina's out here asking the real things. Do you still do open mics? Are you transitioning to other arenas of artistic?
Okay.
They also love your artwork.
Okay, so I do still do open mics, but like the year is closing, so I'm stopping right now. And I do have another project that I'm working on. I didn't want to let anybody know, but I'll let you guys know. I'm working on a music album.
Man,
I love music, and I know how to write songs, and I have an ear for music, so I'm practicing guitar. And yeah, so that's one of my big projects. So as far as open mics and poetry slams, I will be doing them next year, but not as frequent because I'm going to be working on some other stuff.
Got you. Very exciting.
Are you going to be using like Melody Phoenix for your music
as
well?
Yes.
I think I'm going to change it to something else for the music. Wouldn't it be ironic if it was like Plain Jane for music and then Melody Phoenix for poetry? Because like melody and music should go together. Is that irony?
It's up there.
It feels like irony. I write things. I'm a poet. That feels like irony to me.
So, I mean, kind of actually speaking to this, what do you think are the advantages of using like a stage name artistically versus using your real name?
It's that mystery of like, who is this person? You know,
Who is Plain Jane?
yeah, it threw people off. It was like, what? And it was cool because like that experience of, it doesn't matter what your name is, it's just how you perform and what you do in this life. So
That's
I
what The Rock used to say. He used to
that
say.
character, but I had to change it because of God was letting me know, hey. But yeah.
Mhm.
The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson has a really great quote, and he said this actually one Saturday evening. He said, "It doesn't matter what your name is." So that was just,
The Rock said,
I just The Rock SmackDown Saturday night. All right,
"You know what The Rock is
that's
doing?" Yeah.
listen. It's good times.
Great. It was a great time.
I think it's just, you mentioned that you're thinking of doing traditional publishing for your third book, and this is from someone who's already done self-publishing for several collections. So why the shift?
More marketing help, honestly. I don't want to do it by
Hmm.
myself anymore. I want a team. I want more audience to know about what's going on. So I feel like with more of a backing, that would help me in my case.
When you say, let's talk about the marketing, how have you marketed? So, because that's a huge thing. If you're self-publishing, it's on you. Everything
Speaking
is
of
you.
marketing, I feel like we've been talking about the book. Do you have a copy of the book with you?
I don't now. Now it's just an ebook. Yeah. It's just an ebook now.
I really got to work on that marketing. Like, yo, let's see the book. Oh yeah. So here's the thing.
Ebook now.
Melody's going to send us a link to the book afterwards, so we can link it in the video description.
Oh, because the other ones only had the old cover, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
that's funny.
what type of marketing help specifically do you think that traditional publishing is going to give you that you had to do when you were self-publishing?
I feel like they can put it in Barnes and Noble. They can put it in Walmart. They can put it in different places. I don't know how to do everything, and I wish I did, but I feel like a literary agent has a little bit more experience in that area.
What's been the path to marketing for you right now?
On the ground, well, when I did have my book, it was on the ground, but right now it's more so like direct messaging. So cold marketing, warm leads, talking to people like, hey, didn't know I published a book, and then they'll go on the link and they'll buy the book. So that's what's going on right now.
Are you happy with how those results have been? I mean, this is cold marketing is a lot of work. It's just like messaging people nonstop is a lot of work. Getting in touch with people is a lot of work. How have the results been for you? So you mentioned you're doing all kind of like these kind of traditional marketing techniques, kind of almost those one-to-one interactions. Have you been satisfied with those results?
And selling, so compared to actually have a physical copy and then the ebook, so far the ebook sold about like 100 copies.
Okay.
But on the ground, I don't know. So I'm like, all right, I gotta figure out how I can get more sales through the ebook. So I'm gonna figure it out. It's gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, the reason why I push the clap button is because like that's not a small feat. So I think I think a lot of times when people are talking about the processes, and it's because that you're the one that's doing the work, right? So like you're like pushing it. So a lot of times it's almost like when a chef is like a really good chef, and so they make a really good dish, but they don't really recognize it's a great dish because they're like, I've been slaving in the kitchen this whole time. Of course, it's going to be whatever it is I put on your plate, but like somebody out here has to let the chefs know like, hey, you did that. Like, so like getting 100, like that's really amazing. So like clap, I hope you're like really proud of yourself for that, because that's like really dope.
Yeah. Melody, did you know that you sold, if that's true, about 100 copies, you sold about 1/4 of the number of copies of a previous Pulitzer Prize winning book. I'm just throwing that out there.
Really?
There's a Pulitzer Prize winning book out there that sold 400 copies. You're a fourth of the way there.
Wow.
That means if you just do
Yeah.
4 times what you've done right now, you can just like walk right up to a Pulitzer Prize winner and be like,
Give me it.
"Come on, bro. What are you doing, bro?"
You got mine.
Oh man.
Just which speaks to the power of marketing or the power of not marketing as well. Lots of ways you can take this. I thought it was really interesting. You mentioned like direct messaging and things like. How are you handling those direct? Because it's scary, right? It's scary being like
100 people. Like I just keep going. Just keep.
Oh, you
talking.
just like
Yeah.
You just open up Facebook and Instagram. You're just like, bam, bam,
Yeah.
bam. Let me change the name. Bam, change.
I mean,
Oh, this is somebody new. This is my Melody Phoenix is hitting me up. What she got going on? Look. This is the same thing Plain Jane was telling me. It was being cool.
Did it work?
Yeah, it's working. It's working. It's a little bit of a slower process, so I have to read another marketing book and see what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
I need a team. But I have a team right now. So yeah.
Yeah. So I know that. So we have the book, and we have like, well, right now we have the ebook. Are there any other ways that your work is presenting itself out in the world, like with either like visuals or, I mean, naturally, I guess the card is representing you, but so that's coming. But like, do you have like any interest in like getting like visuals out there, getting like any kind of like, I know Jeff talks a lot about like having like an audio, like I would imagine, because like with the Kindle like presentation, is there a way for you to be like do like an audio book of your book as well?
No, but that's a pretty cool idea. I never really thought about it.
Yeah. I know we talk a little bit about it kind of on the platform as well, but I just when I think about artists, actually me and Ajane were talking about this here.
Shout out to AJ
man.
man.
Yeah, shout out to AJ. You're just doing some great work out there. Shout out to you. Hopefully you're doing well in whatever sector of life that you're working. But yeah, we're just talking about like kind of different ways that your art or the work that you create, in the different forms that it can take to kind of bring attention to the work. I've seen, again, I mean, I'm not even somebody who has like kind of a full length out, so like I'm really behind the ball, right? But there's like artists that have they have their full length out there, and then they'll have like an audible version of it out there, but then they'll have like a YouTube channel where they'll have themselves, like they'll have like recordings of like their readings, and then they'll have like a podcast version of those recordings out there, just like all these kind of like different components. I was just wondering if you've ever considered any of those as like kind of a direction for naturally your full length, or
I would love to do something like that. Like I have a YouTube channel, but it's not a lot of videos on there. I had to restart, of course, but I would love to do something like that. Yeah, I want my poems to eventually become like short films. So I think that's something
fascinating.
That's cool. We should wrap. Okay, so let's talk offline. So like I do short films, right? And like I'm working on a project right now
that won a grant. That won a grant.
Yeah,
he's getting paid to make short films.
Yeah,
my producer.
It's solid. It's a solid time. But yeah, no, it's just like I think when I think about people creating work, and I think about like people like creating poems, it's like there's a lot of poems that you can actually, and you could probably tell when you're writing it, right? Like as you're writing it, you can see the poem happening in your head, and that's the reason why you can write, because you're like, man, like I know I can see the scene, I can see how things are unfolding, and I just think that like that vision, like the words are good, but that vision that you're seeing, like, man, if there's a way to pull that into somebody else's vision, like that would be beautiful too. So. Yeah, definitely. That's definitely. I think that's a good. That's always a good path to go. I've been like super passionate about like short films, like forever.
Yeah.
I kind of want to talk about just some of the strategies for getting your workout. Is this the last time we saw each other was it? It's been a little while.
Yeah.
um, how have you like before I have to set up this question a little bit. When did your book first come out?
The
Like the first book, first edition. When did that come out?
it came out in 2021.
Okay.
Mhm.
How would you say like so that's all we're kind of talking like pandemic era.
There was a
and things like
pandemic?
because the world ended.
Did I miss that?
Melody Phoenix came
What?
back. She used to be plain Jane. so have you seen any kind of shifts in strategy just in terms of getting your book out there?
No, like even
not really.
when it was COVID, people would just wear masks and still go to open mics. So
people were not cautious at all. I would still go I would perform my poems at all you can eat buffets right over the food.
Oh no,
no
shift.
So you haven't seen some dramatic shifts, but is there a specific platform that you find yourself gravitating towards the most?
Instagram.
Why Instagram?
I feel like when I do certain reels, I do realize they perform better than pictures. And like some people reach out on my DMs like, hey, I want to learn more about your book and stuff like that. So I really do like doing the reels, but I'm trying to create a strategy to where it's not just, okay, here's 10,000 views and then this one is 400 views. Like I want an actual consistent view count so people can actually reach out. Because if
Interesting.
looking, like, who knows about the book?
Are there any like particular strategies that you found to be effective for Instagram, or you're still trying to piece it together?
Like really big font. Like people use Canva when it comes to font. Honestly, not the Instagram font. If you use the Canva font and like save it and then upload it, that's a little bit better. I think one of the videos got like 5,000 from that alone. So I'm like, okay, the font. And then they want you to use like the trending audio. But when you use the one that has the check next to it, it performs pretty low because there's so many people that use the same audio. So I think audio that's on the rise, use that.
Got you.
Yeah, but like, they're saying, oh, you have to post like 3 times a week. But I mean, I haven't posted a little bit, but it's still growing gradually because I post like certain times. So I'm kind of like leaving the algorithm alone a little bit and seeing if that still grows. Like it was like, I think it was like 5 followers. So when I just sat back and just let it marinate for a little bit. And then I post something and then, oh, algorithm, you're back. And then a couple more followers. So I'm trying to figure it out. So yeah.
You mentioned that you post at specific times.
Specific times, yes. Like more so in the morning.
Okay. Why do you think that's working?
I don't know.
Appreciate the honesty. Good.
Like they just wake up, roll over Instagram, or nighttime, because people like to doom scroll at nighttime too. So, and then like in the day, people are at work, they're doing stuff,
But are pretending to. Yeah, that's fair.
I've been telling my boss I'm doing stuff for years.
I'm doing marketing research.
So like, I feel like the kind of the social part of being a creative can be kind of difficult. The social media part of being a creative can be kind of difficult just because it's like, man, you're really trying. It's not the same as like, let's say like an open mic where it's like, if you go into an open mic and there's 30 people in the audience, that means like there's 30 people that are keyed into what you're saying, right? Whereas sometimes I feel like with social media, it can feel like you're kind of yelling into a void. And you're like, man, hopefully I get some feedback. Hopefully some people appreciate my work and are liking my work. Like, how do you handle that dynamic?
Um, I'm pretty chill about it, honestly. I understand that sometimes my videos won't perform great, or they will, but I just hope that people do look at my work, and I just keep working. So.
That's definitely fair.
For your book, because I know that you mentioned earlier that we have to head out soon. I want to respect your time. What are some things that if someone is considering self-publishing a collection of poetry, they're considering maybe Amazon KDP, I'm forgetting their work out there. If you had to give 3 tips for someone considering this route, what would those tips be?
Learn marketing before you publish. That's the most important part. Um, know your tax information because that took me a couple of days
Yes.
to figure out, like, oh, this. Um, Another tip for KDP.
I know I put you on the spot. Or even just self-publishing in general, like getting that collection together and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, reread your poems over and over and make sure that you got like no mistakes. Like my first project, of course, I had a mistake or two, but don't beat yourself up about it if that does happen. But it's always good to just relook over it. So.
Do you have, like, after you get finished with a collection, is there anybody that you send your work out to, or send the book out to kind of read it over and kind of get their thoughts on it before publishing? Or is it just like my brain, my plan, I'm gonna go forward with it?
You can actually you can send it somebody on Fiverr to re-edit and stuff like that. But
When I was talking more so like artists in the community, because I think I mean Fiverr's cool, but I'm talking like artists in your community that you're like, I really appreciate your your art. I really appreciate your feedback. Here's my book. Kind of tell me what you think about it. And I mean also they could be somebody that can be look on the lookout for misplaced words or something and stuff like that. Like, do you have that kind of system in place, or is that something that you're like, I'd rather have just my work just be everything that I'm putting down?
I don't have that system. I would love that system, because it's kind of just me looking at my own stuff, and like that's cool. But having another input is pretty awesome. It's like, oh wow, like okay, you're actually reading it. You actually want to know about it, and so yeah, I'm trying to be more social with people. That's why I go to open mics to talk to people, and I'm trying to form a team. So yeah.
When you say team, like, do you mean like team around like your work specifically, or do you mean like just team as far as like we're all part of
Like a creative, like a creative team. So like if they have work, look at their work. If I have some work, they need me to hold this, do this, stuff like that.
All right. Hey, I don't know. There should be like a poets creatives like version of like Tinder, but like just like, oh, like, are you a poet? Oh yeah, I'm a poet. Like swipe, like have like an excerpt from their poem, and then and then just like you swipe right, or I don't know how Tinder works. I think I've been married the entire time. So how long has Tinder been around?
I don't.
I don't know.
I was married before. I knew my wife.
But however Tinder works, I know there's a swipe right, swipe left, right? So you could be like, oh,
yeah,
like
which
you
was
like
the
their
bad
work.
one? I always forget.
I don't know.
Melody's not gonna help me out.
Melody's like, I started this by saying I'm a Christian. I have no idea what that app's about. I don't even know what a phone is. What is this I'm talking about? But no, it's like it's just to say that, like, yeah, I think that's just like having a system where you could be like, man, like you kind of create this community around like artists that you like and artists that you think are cool and artists that you kind of want to build that kind of rapport with. And I feel like I was really, really super fortunate, and Jeff can kind of talk to this too because he was like one of the people. But I think I was like super fortunate to be able to be close friends with artists like in the community, and there are artists that I respected their opinion and I respected their feedback, and above all else, like I mean, outside of them as people, I really enjoyed their work, right? So, being able to have that kind of support system to where I'm like, man, I know that if I perform a real stinker of a poem, like somewhere, like there's somebody like Jeff that's gonna be like,
that was a real
yeah,
stinker.
how about how about you never do that again? How about we try that first?
That poem was just so.
No, that's
just no.
Yeah, so
because
yeah, it was just said. I mean, that's really enriching.
Yeah, because I'm kind of biased. Like, oh, this poem is right. I'm like, no. Sometimes I do write one that's not all right, and I would love that. Like, hey, fix that, please.
All right, hey, poetry community in Columbus, Melody Phoenix is looking for you. Is a swipe right? Is looking for you to swipe right and to be your friend and to communicate with you about work. And I'm gonna do it like an advertiser.
There we go. Hang on. Hang on. That didn't do this. Hang on. It's gonna do the thing.
Oh, hey, Columbus. If you are in for a good time, somebody who is smart, who is caring, who is a great artist, who is a compassionate artist, who's getting into marketing, and who is really accessible through either phone or with Instagram, then you out there, I'm talking to you. You should contact Melody Phoenix. You know why? And here's some reasons. Melody Phoenix is a writer. She's a speaker. She's a talented putter together of books. And the only thing she's asking is that when she has work, take a look at it. See what you think. Give her your honest feedback. She's going to do the same for you. If you're interested, go ahead. First of all, jump in the comment section of this YouTube video. Let her know, hey, Melody, let's melodize. Let's do it. Just like the Phoenix, let's rise. Right? Let's rise up together.
Okay.
And then technically, go ahead, go to her profile on Melody Phoenix. Is it just Melody Phoenix on Instagram?
Melody_Phoenix on Instagram.
Melody_Phoenix on it. Don't forget the underscore. Okay? Because it's the underscore to our lives. Melody_Phoenix on Instagram. Be a friend. Be a companion.
Or else.
We'll find you. We know you're watching. This is a two-way camera system. We know you're watching. Okay? She's a great writer. She gives great feedback. Okay, so you should do it.
Do you think you can use that melody?
Yeah, I can.
Please. And if somebody's like, oh, I don't know, I kind of got some stuff to reschedule, just like replay that live, like you should do it, and just like my eyes, it's like piercing into their soul, and just like say, you don't want to know what happens if you don't. I don't want to know what happens if you don't. So just
I'm mildly curious, but I've been told not to be.
We're friends now, so that's how this started.
Melody Phoenix, final things you think people should know before we let you off into this dark night?
I think that if you have any hesitation on self-publishing, you can do it. Just going over your work and just put it out there. Honestly, don't be afraid, and everything's going to be all right. So thank you so much for having me. My name is Melody Phoenix. You can follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you guys later.
It's Melody_Phoenix.
Melody_Phoenix on Instagram.
Get it?
Cool. Instagram, and are you on Threads?
What? See, I don't understand Threads. I think it's like Twitter, but I am on Threads. But
you're on Threads? Okay, so now it's just about getting used to it, getting active with it. But it's going to be Melody_Phoenix on Threads too. So there you go. It's like both.
All right.
So easy.
So follow me on Threads.
Yes. Cool. Melody Phoenix, we'll let you go. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us. We appreciate you and the insights you provided on self-publishing. If you guys have other questions for Melody, you can always reach out to them. Thank you so much, Melody.
Thank you.
Good to see you. All right. Well, Matthias.
Well, Jeff.
I don't have a self-published book.
You don't.
Actually, that's not well.
But it's like
I have a
chat book.
I do have actually a chat book, and then I have a digital chat book that was through Ghost City Press. I should probably promote that. I should actually print physical copies. Of
I should
that.
actually
It's
promote
like, yeah,
more things that I'm
should.
doing.
Yeah.
You should do that.
I do so much. Because my goals right now, I'm promoting you guys. I'm not. My stuff is in the back burner. It's about you. You fine.
And there's a burner that's on behind us right now. We haven't tended to it at all this entire podcast.
I don't have a kitchen anymore.
We got to get out of here quickly.
All right, I'm going to send us off again. Just a quick reminder: in January, second Friday, and then from then on out, every Friday at Third Way Cafe on the West Side. They went across the street. Just a heads up.
Yeah.
We are going to be starting a new season of our open mic. We're on a hiatus. We're coming back live. It's going to be crazy. We got some changes coming up. It's going to be fun. We would love to have you share your work with us and see you if you're located in Columbus. Hope to see you then. In the meantime, my name is Jeff.
My name is Matthias.
Thank you guys so much. We'll be back next week with another episode of The Versus Live. You guys take care. Have a good night, good morning, good afternoon. Take care. Bye.